Me way more credit than I'm due. There were rooms full of fabulous people in this community who made Not in Our Town happen. And Chuck is one of them. I see others of you here who were part of that gathering and those gatherings. And Chuck is right. It was exactly 25 years ago, January 1993, after a Martin Luther King Day service, that this community started to look around and see some things that did not feel right about who we are as a community, and began to be very proactive about it. And one of the things that Debbie asked me to share today, I have a very specific task, and I'm very pleased to share it with you, is what we kind of used as our guiding principles. So in 1993, after that service, a bunch of us got together, including some pastors, actually some folks from local government, including some law enforcement people. We got together and we started saying, and also the human rights community, and we came together and said, this is not something we can afford to ignore. We need to bring people together to work together on this. And so we gathered together and we invited Ken Toole, who was the executive director of the Montana Human Rights Network, to come and talk to us, because he had been seeing flyers like we are seeing in Billings this month and like we were seeing in Billings in January of 1993 around the state, and had been working with people on why they need to respond and what they need, why it's important, and what is key about what kind of principles can guide us. And so Debbie asked me if I would share with you, and I really am just channeling some advice we got, but we made it our guiding stars, and we made these 3 principles. We kind of focused on them and returned to them over and over again, and I think they will stand us in good stead. I think they'll stand the test of time. And a few years ago, Patrice, who put together the documentary of Not in Our Town, and by the way, if you Google notinourtown.org and go to that website, there's just a wealth of resources of communities, stories of communities that use these same ideas. But Patrice asked me to share a little article about Billings and the principles that we used. And so Debbie wanted me to share those with you today, and I'll try and be brief, because I think we have a lot more important work to do today in terms of planning how we move forward. But there were 3 principles that we got kind of set in place. Number 1 is that when you see these kinds of ideas being put out publicly in your neighborhood, in your community, and graffiti and vandalism, don't ignore it. Don't just say, these are teenagers, these are kids, they just want attention. It's not important. If we give them attention, it'll feed the beast, and if we ignore it, it'll go away. We have learned that that is not the way to respond to that. And that leads us to the second principle, which is that when those kinds of ideas start being promulgated in very public, visible ways, the people who are being targeted by this hateful ideas, who are being demeaned and dehumanized, and whose lives are literally at stake at some level, whose physical safety is threatened, and whose ability to function with pride and with dignity in their community is undermined, that they're looking around. They're feeling it very much so. You may not be trans, you may not be Black, you may not be Native American, but it is your problem as much as it is anyone who is being targeted by that literature.